And Bentley at the 1. Bentley has an angle, and he's got just the kicker to beat. Bentley at the 30, the 25, the 15, a 99-yard kickoff return.
Over the top. Oh, stuffed by Bertrand. Yikes.
Now it's time for Illini Drive, your home on the way home for Illini Sports every Monday at 6. Only on Champagne's Alternative, WPGU 107.1 FM.
Joey Gelman, host, Chicago, Illinois.
Steve Bourbon, co-host, St. Charles, Illinois.
Sam Sherman, co-host, Wilmette, Illinois.
Jeff Omer, social media guru, Naperville, Illinois.
Torrance Surreal, producer, Shad City, baby.
Thank you for joining us here on Illini Drive. The first thing I want to talk about is Illinois basketball. Coming off of a nice home win against Purdue, they go to Minnesota, face Richard Pitino's squad.
Little off-brand Pitino.
Yeah, off-brand Pitino, and it was a pretty well-fought game for, again, like a lot of their games this season. They played well for a lot of the game, and then near the end, they kind of started to dwindle away, and like the word I've been using is just crumble away their kind of momentum, and the opposing teams are really taking advantage of that. And Minnesota surely did. They lost. Illinois lost 79-71 in Minnesota, dropping their overall record to 13-8 and their conference record to 3-5. Steve, what were your observations? Because I was traveling that day. I wasn't able to watch, but I was following along. So I'm kind of curious, just from you actually having watched that game, what were some main takeaways in terms of is this, was this same old Illinois crumbling it away, or was there something more?
I just think this team was a little gassed. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like. They were playing with essentially 7 healthy guys. Latula was the 8th guy off the bench. He played only a couple minutes. The story, Ryan Schmidt, team manager, was on the active roster and traveled with the team. I just wish they would have put him in. That would have been cool.
He still did the stool thing. He still moved it out.
He was being productive.
Yeah.
He was helping out.
Doing his job.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think they were gassed. Walker down low was really physical. Ended up with 12 and 12, something like that.
Collins said 26,
28. Yeah. I mean, I just think they've had problems closing games in the past, but I mean, I just think they're playing. There's a third game in 6 days. So I think it's just kind of more of a scheduling and injuries thing than anything else.
And also for Minnesota, this was the team, Steve, we talked about this in the Sportscast Friday, that this was a must-win for them. Those guys were, 1-6 before that game, and they lost, 5 of their last 6 games by 5 points or less. So this was a must-win, and they had high expectations at the beginning of the year to at least do better than what they're doing now.
They won the NIT
exactly.
last year. I mean, the coveted NIT.
Get too excited about that, right?
It's
cool.
It's funny you say that, because I remember back at Big Ten Media Day for basketball, Pitino was sort of talking about it. He goes, "We didn't know what to think. What do you do when you win the NIT? Do you celebrate or?" And even the team was confused. But still, I mean, the NIT's kind of gained maybe a little bit more respectable. Well, of course, it used to be much bigger, but now some people look at it more of, obviously the best of the
constellation almost.
But there is certainly respectability in winning it. I mean, Illinois had some tough. They ended up losing in that, but they had some tough games there. So really, I guess this, like you said, Torrance, it was a team that had expectations. But for really, I kind of looked like with Illinois, this was a game that would have been really nice to win. Obviously, they need any wins they can get at this point, but especially a place like Minnesota, which is a tough place to play, even though they had been struggling. You get a win like this, you go into arguably the 2 easiest games of the season coming up. If there's anything that's really easy in the Big Ten with Penn State on Saturday, and then Rutgers following that. And so I think it would have been a nice one to get. But if you're looking at some positives, something that I kind of took immediately from that was seeing Malcolm Hill and Kendrick both had 18 points in that one, which hasn't been a surprise as of late. I mean, Malcolm's been scoring all season, and Kendrick in the last maybe 3 or 4 games, maybe even before that.
He's turned it on ever since Northwestern.
Really since the Northwestern game, he's been playing well offensively, and so that was really nice to see. But I think the best thing that I saw, and what they can really kind of start to get excited for, is Jalen Tate with 11 points and 9 assists.
Almost a double-double.
Yeah, and this was Jalen Tate, who, I don't know about you guys, but I was starting to kind of think, and yeah, of course he's young, but I was starting to think maybe he's not a Big Ten guy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if he can find that success.
Well, it's just he's so limited without his jump shot.
Yeah.
But the thing that he's shown this year that's really been good to see is he's been able to get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
Everyone in the stadium knows he's going to drive. You can play the Rondo defense.
Yeah.
You don't have to guard him. But he's able to get to the line. He's able to draw contact and get to the free throw line. And he's done a really nice job kind of running, now moving into the starting lineup. And he's done a nice job of distributing the guys, and even when him and Starks play together in those double point guard lineups, I think he's done a pretty nice job. He's good jump from year 1 to 2 for him.
Exactly, and that's really what they wanted to see, I think, was that development. And it's amazing, you look at kind of expectations of going into a season and kind of what you come to expect. And this year it was like, Ahmad Starks is going to be the guy. And I don't think a lot of people are really questioning that. I mean, there were people who were a little unsure about if his height was going to be a problem. And I don't think Jalen Tate was really thought to. I don't know if like Jalen Tate was thought to be the guy who was going to end up kind of, nothing's been saved yet, but a guy who could come in and salvage what kind of the on and off play of Ahmad Starks that this season. He's been playing better in his defense, but he still throws up those kind of wild shots and
that everyone immediately bitches about.
Yeah, whether he makes them or doesn't. I mean, when he makes them, it's nice. Those are one of those no, yes,
right.
But still no, because don't take those shots.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the only way you can get those up. And plus, defensively, a lot of this doesn't have to do with his abilities, more of just his, he's not tall, so he can get exploited on defense much easier.
Well, I think another thing about Tate is he's improved a lot defensively as well from last season. And he's able now to play those 2 point guard lineups where he's guarding, another team's 2. Against Purdue, he's guarding a 6'4", 6'5" guy because Starks can't. And so when you have all these wing players that are injured, Cosby, obviously Ravante Rice, you need to get creative with your lineups. And Tate's made it okay for them to, I guess move some guys around and get a little creative with the lineups. Now, Cosby should be coming back. You would think for this Penn State game on Saturday, you would think, right?
I heard different things. I thought
1 to 2 weeks when he first.
But then it was even like longer.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Torn retina just sounds scary.
It sounds like it would be painful for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what the recovery time. I mean, because I'd heard there were like different reports out about how long it was going to take. I don't think nothing's had been announced yet. And I think that. One of the biggest things that was seen in this last game of kind of missing him, if anything, was he does run, he does hustle on defense, and that's it's funny. The thing that we thought again with shooting was going to be the thing that he was going to really bring to the team, not so much there, but defensively he's been good. Gross likes the way he hustles out there, and maybe that was missing a little bit from the game. But kind of going back to the injury point, I think the best thing that I've seen from the Illinois fan base and reporters or whatever is that. The Illinois camp is that there haven't been many excuses about I haven't heard at least like they don't have Ray Rice and that's why they're losing these games or anything, because I think that they've shown that they can really come together and still put together a pretty nice game, win or lose, without him. Of course, with him, you're gonna get a lot more scoring and stuff like that. But really, I've kind of been pleased to see that people haven't been taking that kind of sort of easy excuse as to these losses, and they've sort of come together despite that.
Yeah, I mean, and even when Rice was there, it's not like the team was outstanding.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're sort of playing like the same.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's still kind of up and down, but yeah, I mean, you got to think once he comes back, then things are going to start to mesh a little better, and you would think.
You'd think so, yeah. But I mean,
it'll be interesting when he comes back because now how do you not start LeBron Black? Or how do you not start Kendrick Nunn or Malcolm Hill? When he comes back,
there's questions. I mean,
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the big deal is because when Illinois had Ravante Rice on the team, their whole offense, their whole identity was surrounded by Rice. And now that Rice has been out, obviously, for a couple weeks now, they've really had to use those younger guys like Tate, like Hill, like Nunn to really lead the team on both sides of the ball. So it will really be interesting to see what the team does with Rice coming back because it's almost like they've had a whole identity change without him there, and then all these players are able to find out that, hey, maybe they do have the chance to score, the ability to score, that they didn't think they would have with Rice on the floor. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, because now it looks like they have a lot more faces and a lot more people to turn to than what they originally had going into the season.
And it's one of those, again, it's one of the things where it's a problem. Getting him back it's like a good problem to have of, what are you going to do with your lineup? Sometimes, though, I guess you got to be careful, because you could toss around a lineup that's kind of been working together and playing well together, and then what'll happen, but I don't think anyone's going to complain when Ray comes back.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt to bring your leading scorer and rebounder back. So.
No, not at all. Well, we are going to take a quick break here on Illini Drive, and when we return, we're going to have Kevin Fishbane talking some Bears and talking some Northwestern disappointment, as Kevin did attend Northwestern. But we will be back soon on Illini Drive.
This is Jimmy Jackson. Join in for the Illini Drive, WPGU 1071.
Welcome back here on Illini Drive. We're back here soon to be talking with Kevin Fishbane of ChicagoFootball.com.
Bears writer. A lot have been going on with the Bears. Literally in 3 weeks, they've kind of reshaped their whole coaching staff, their whole front office, and maybe as painful as this year was, there might be some brighter things ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they haven't made a trade, they haven't signed anybody. There hasn't been the NFL draft hasn't happened yet, and yet they're, again, on paper, a better team.
Yeah,
I mean, already, and that's just kind of if you're one of the people who kind of chalked up this season to coaching or organizational things, I think a lot of those things are going to be improved. But again, it's going to be. We'll talk to Kevin Fishbane about it. Is he on now? We got him.
Should be.
Hey, Kevin, are you there?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Well, yeah, but no, you're right. It's always interesting when there's no players added or players lost, and yet you could still possibly have a stronger product.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, with this new GM, Ryan Pace. If you've been living under a rock with Chicago Bears football, they hired Ryan Pace, youngest GM in the league, hired John Fox away from Denver, and then just recently added coordinators Adam Gase.
Yeah, Adam Gase.
Adam Gase. Yeah, I couldn't think of his first name. So I was just calling him Gase.
Yeah.
And then Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Do we have Kevin? Are you here? We're looking to talk to Kevin Fishbane from ChicagoFootball.com, but we might have some difficulties right now. But that's okay. We can still talk some Bears. But in speaking, so of course, yeah, they get Ryan Pace, they get the young GM. Some people I think there were some questions about, obviously he's a good mind, but can a young guy, for some reason there was this question of can a young guy, lead an organization like that, and being their GM. And I think so far that question has been answered of so far yes. You bring in, of course, they caught a break with John Fox having kind of mutual. Again, we always say mutually, but it was really just John Elway.
John Elway said, "Leave town."
Yeah, so I mean, that was
sort not big enough for the both of us.
Exactly, and so they had this whole situation where he was kind of moved out of Denver. So that was a break for Ryan Pace, because the other coaches that were out there were not formerly head coaches, or there hadn't been like proven commodities. They'd been good coordinators, but they didn't know about how they'd be as head coaches, obviously, and they were able to get. Oh, maybe we're getting Kevin. Are you there? Just seeing now, Kevin Fishbane from ChicagoFootball.com. Do we have you on now? Maybe not. Well, all right. Well, yeah, Torrance, just let us know if he's. I think we just have some difficulties on our end, but that's again all right.
Yeah, pretty typical around here, I guess.
Yeah, we've always got something going on. In fact, during the break, we've had to switch mics around. Some of the mics just weren't even working.
Yeah, I think Sam turned my mic off because he didn't want to hear what I did.
That's just some inside baseball stuff. Yeah. So, I think like. Even more exciting than bringing in John Fox was now John Fox coming in and bringing in these two coordinators. The former Broncos offensive coordinator Adam Gase, who, I think there was the thought of well, was it just Peyton Manning? But I think, we kind of had talked about this. What were your thoughts about this argument of, it's just, that it wasn't Gase as much as it was Manning? You had some interesting thoughts about that.
Well, I think that works both ways. And, you could say, well, Peyton Manning was his own offensive coordinator in Denver, and that's probably true. Like, that guy knows more about football than, 99% of the football elite, So he's one of the best minds in the league. And so, whether Gase had so much responsibility in Denver, might be in question. But I think just being around a guy like Peyton Manning helps. I mean, he's in the film room every day. He's learning, preparation and getting another, 20 years worth of, experience from Peyton Manning, Hall of Fame, one of the best of all time. I mean, I think that can only help. And, maybe he transfers some of that thinking to Jay Cutler or quarterback to be named later.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, I just think to discredit him because you have such a great quarterback, I think is a little bit short-sighted.
The hire that got me the most excited was Vic Fangio, former defensive coordinator out in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That was sort of another thing where there wasn't anything wrong. They had top 5 defenses for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, again, just sort of the crumbling organization over with the 49ers and Harbaugh goes. So I think that was another one of those things. So they get Vic Fangio, who's one of the, I think regarded as one of the better defensive coordinators in football. And I think, there was this thought where maybe, again, kind of there's these questions that come up that I think have pretty easy answers, which is, well, he's had a lot of talent around him. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you look to this past season, the 49ers had a lot of injuries on defense. A lot of their key guys were hurt, and yet they still maintain that top 5 ranking on that side of the ball. And that's when I would have to say you can attribute that straight to a guy like Fangio.
Yeah, I think I think they've gotten a little bit lucky. I mean, Ryan Pace, these are kind of, no doubt hires, just because of the situations that they came from. They've had success. It's not like they were bad coaches. Mm-hmm. It's just they became available.
Yeah.
But the biggest question I have is, will the Bears now shift to a 3-4? Because that's what Fangio was kind of known for in San Francisco, what they ran forever. So, I mean, the Bears certainly, I don't think they've ever run the 3-4, or at least not in my lifetime. I mean, so you kind of have to rework personnel, which they were going to have to do anyway. So that kind of changes things a little bit on the defensive side of the ball.
We're going to try one more time to see if we can get Kevin Fishbane on the phone. Kevin, are you there? All right. Well, then I guess we'll probably just continue this Bears conversation. Sorry about that. We're just not hearing him through here. Kevin, can you hear us? Huh. Yeah. Again, some difficulties.
I guess maybe he can hear us, but we can't hear him. I guess it is the actual problem.
That could be a little bit complicated.
We can guess. We can ask questions and just wait
and just sort of see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What are you thinking, Torrance?
He said he
can hear us. Yeah, we just can't. We can't hear anything on our end. But I don't want to make the listeners go through too much of this, though. All right? Well, then I think we're gonna figure that out. But speaking of kind of switching to the 3-4, I want to bring up a player for you, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Oh,
player.
no.
I think you know who it's going to be.
I know exactly who it is.
Boise State.
Big bad Shea McClellin.
Shea McClellin. Can his career be revived under Vic Fangio?
Well, it's a little more interesting now because, his rookie year and early in his career, they tried him at 4-3 defensive end. He got abused. He's not big enough. And you put him at linebacker, 4-3 outside linebacker. He's not fast enough, not athletic enough. So, he projected as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Now, if that position becomes available, maybe it's a better fit. But, just watching the kid play for a couple years now, it's just, some guys have it and some guys don't. And I'm just a little skeptical.
I like how it's like, you're going through the descriptors there. He's like, well, he's not big enough. He's not fast enough. He's not strong enough. Is he a good football? Is he a good football player? Can he play the game of football? Yeah, but I mean, because I brought this up yesterday, but obviously he would have been a guy that Fangio would have looked at, would have scouted for his defense. And it is kind of one of those guys. But there's a couple. Are there any other names on defense that you think that this switch, and of course, because former defensive coordinator Mel Tucker has taken his talents.
He's no longer unemployed.
Yeah, he's taken his talents to Alabama. with Nick Saban, and he's going to be their defensive backs coach.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. But like we were saying before, if you get one job in the NFL, yeah, right. Jeff's shaking his head.
I didn't hear about that.
But at the same time, Nick Saban seems to know what he's doing. He brings in Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And that was a guy that people have had lots of different opinions on. One time, I believed he was a guy who maybe could coach Illinois. But yeah, so he brings him in, and he was good over there. So bringing Mel Tucker for some defensive backs coaching. But anyway,
that's quite the demotion, by the way. From NFL defensive coordinator to college position coach is a pretty far drop.
Knowing the Bears' luck, though, is there's going to be something next year where they're going to have like the best.
Yeah, they'll have four defensive backs who are going to be first round NFL picks. Like, ooh, this Mel Tucker guy,
Is he? We got to get this guy in the NFL. No,
Word to the other franchise: stay away from Mel Tucker.
But the new guy, Vic Fangio. I was going back to you originally. Do you see any other players that are maybe they haven't shown their full value yet that you think could possibly do that under a new guy?
Well, I mean, it's tough because the responsibilities get different. So, with a 3-4, you really want, a plug the line nose tackle kind of guy to kind of dominate the defense. I think of Haloti Ngata, in Baltimore there, and then for a time Vince Wilfork did the same thing for New England. I mean, that's really key. And you look at this Bears roster, and I don't know if Paya can do that. I don't know if
he can even if the Bears
Jeremiah Ratliff can do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks there, and we haven't even gotten into the secondary yet, which outside of Kyle Fuller and Tim Jennings has been a problem for years.
Although apparently Charles Tillman will be returning in some capacity.
Yeah, he had the cryptic tweet that he was coming back to Chicago, and he said that Ian Rappaport, NFL Network reporter, generally second fiddle to Adam Schefter, but still in the know on everything, did not even know yet. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I sort of doubt that it's going to be in a playing position. I don't know but then again, I kind of doubt it's in a coaching. So I'm not sure how it's going to happen.
Who knows?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues on the defensive side of the ball, but I think that they've made the first kind of big step in getting one of the better defensive minds in the NFL.
And now is where it gets a little hard is trying to get the players, because it still is a player-driven league, and right now this Bears roster has a lot of work to do, and it starts with the draft. The draft's coming up late April here. There's going to be some free agents out there that the Bears caps, Jay Cutler taking up a lot of it. They're not going to be able to make too many moves here. So now Ryan Pace's job is really just beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He got kind of, I guess, no doubt kind of hires. Mm-hmm. Now you've got to go and be shrewd and find some good players, quality depth players. At maybe a little bit cheaper cost.
And it's kind of just this is why I couldn't be. It's one of those things where people would say I'd love to be an NFL general manager or something like that, or something in the organization, but it'd be tough because right now you look at a guy like Ryan Pace who comes in and he's made some home run hires with his first few moves with the help of I think Ernie Accorsi, the consultant that they brought in.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's going to kind of doubt him on these moves he's made. And he's done a great job so far, but like you said, his job's not even close to being over, and he's really just started, and the city of Chicago, as we probably all know, will very quickly turn on him and every decision he makes. If
there's not a whole lot of patience here,
no, because people liked Emery at times. I mean, there were times when people I think were okay with Phil Emery, and he made some moves that people liked, and then all of a sudden he made a pretty what turned out to be a pretty horrible one in with Mark Trestman, and not just that. Jay Cutler, and some draft picks like Shea McClellan, for example, that aren't going too well. But they'll turn. But again, credit to Ryan Pace, who has so just kind of done everything he's needed to do at least this far into his job. Are you bored about talking about bad football?
Yeah. I think we've reached our quota for that.
But there is some very good football to be played. The Super Bowl this weekend. Which is this Sunday, which is I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah.
You've got two teams. You've got the Seahawks with their just outstanding defense, and then you've got the Patriots with Tom Brady.
Yeah. and whether or not their balls are properly inflated remains to be seen.
I don't even like that whole thing. That whole thing to me is like the more that it's being talked about, the more ridiculous it's seeming, because when you get to a certain point where I just wonder, like, okay, obviously, I believe if they play that game 10 times, the Patriots win 10 times.
Yeah, it's not close.
But yeah, the Patriots seem to be up to something fishy there. But I don't really care because I think that at the end of the day, it's win or a loss, and it's not like these were two teams that were really close. It was the Patriots. I think just would have beat them anyway.
Did you hear the update about now they say a quote unquote the attendant has something to do with the balls?
Yeah, I'm interested to see who ends up being the scapegoat here, and I think it's going to be some no-name equipment manager, which is really kind of a shame.
Yeah, they were pointing the camera on this one guy on some sports show I was watching today, and they were like, this guy, this guy could be the guy who gets in trouble here.
Just like of all that, and then we're done talking about Deflategate because it's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh, yeah. It's
but, like, if anyone looks at me with a straight face that says Bill Belichick, like the mad genius who's has a history of, like, bending the rules, like, didn't know about this, like, I don't think so. Like, I think he probably did it. I think he's paranoid to a point, even though his team is, pretty supremely talented over the Colts.
Yeah.
And so whether they can prove it or not, I doubt it because, the NFL has a hard time investigating things. But I mean, for the game, I'm interested because Seattle really has no business being here. I mean, after that Packers game where the Packers literally had it in hand, one of the best comebacks in recent memory there. But I mean, they've been here before. Both teams have. The Patriots haven't won a Super Bowl in 10 years now, but seems like they're there. They've been they've lost 2 recently.
Well, the positive thing about that game, it's one that they really should have lost, but they won it, and they didn't win it exactly because of their defense, but their defense wasn't bad in that game. It's not like they took a step back defensively and they were exposed at all because they really weren't. It was more because various reasons like Brandon Bostic not being able to come down.
For
example, that's the reason why they're able to come out with that, among other reasons. So I don't think that their defense took any confidence hit there, and I don't think that would be possible to do that to the Legion of Boom. Unless I don't know what were the updates with injuries in terms of because I know
both have been adamant that they're going to play. So I think they're competitors and they're going to play. And, but the thing that's interesting for me is with the Seahawks, they have one of the best shutdown corners in Richard Sherman, but the main threat for the Patriots isn't on the outside. It's not. They don't have a Des Bryant kind of receiver. It's Rob Gronkowski in the middle of the field. So how much will they put Cam Chancellor on him, or who is a really good player in his own right? Watch him jump over on field goals like he's an incredible athlete. So I think that's going to be the matchup to watch right there.
Are you saying that the fate of the Patriots will be in LeGarrette Blount's hands?
You are drinking the LeGarrette Blount Kool-Aid.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying. If it's not going to happen, like let's say because like you said, they don't have that Des Bryant, they don't have that Calvin Johnson guy, but they do have the best tight end in the NFL,
and one of the best slot receivers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, Edelman.
Yes. And that's true, but Seattle's defense is pretty darn good and can really, I think, shut those guys down as much as anyone's going to shut down Rob Gronkowski or I guess to an extent Julian Edelman. But they do have LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
And he despite the fact that it's kind of funny to say he's really been great in the time that he's played with the Patriots recently. And we've seen this and he's not particularly great at anything, but he gets yards.
Yeah.
And I think that might be one of the keys really for the Patriots to go to beat just an outstanding one of the best defenses ever with Seattle's Legion of Boom.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to run the ball, that's really, really going to help. But we've seen 2 games ago LeGarrette Blount had those 3 carries for 1 yard against the Ravens. So
with Michael Bennett, it's just we're talking a lot about people like to talk about the defensive backs, the corners for Seattle, but their defensive line is pretty great too. There's some big boys up there.
Yeah,
and so they might be able to finally stop LeGarrette Blount. Who knew?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Do you have any predictions with this one? Because for me, I'm admittedly I'm a big Patriots guy. I mean, I was second to the Bears. I'm a big Patriots fan. I like Tom Brady. but I'm a little bit concerned. I think that they're going to go into a team right, because they're playing, the Colts defense and the Seahawks defense is a huge difference there.
Yeah.
And so they were able to beat up the Colts pretty well, but there's a difference in, they got Russell Wilson, they've got Marshawn Lynch. They've got wide receivers who really shouldn't be good, but somehow come up to make big plays.
Yeah, I love this whole Seattle post game interview thing is now very debatable because Doug Baldwin had multiple drops and then called out Deion Sanders for saying that he was mediocre. I don't know, they've got the whole confidence borderline very arrogant thing
Be
going
happy
for
that
them.
You won, but Doug Baldwin, you're still a mediocre receiver.
Yeah,
that.
I'll give mediocre.
Sure.
I think they missed Golden Tate.
Absolutely. I mean, he's shown to be
more than they thought they
a problem over with Detroit. I mean, a bad, a problem for other teams, as the Bears kind of saw with Detroit. So, predictions. What do you think?
I just think how you beat Brady is kind of the same way you beat Manning. You got to get pressure on him. You got to make him move in the pocket, and that Seattle defense is just so good, and there's no way Russell Wilson's going to play that badly again. There's just no way. I think he is going to have a really solid game, and because what do they ask him to do? Throw for 200 yards and rush for 50. Mm-hmm. They don't ask him to do too much. Whereas the Patriots offense is Tom Brady running the offense as a field general. So I like Seattle. I think Seattle maybe 24-20. Really close game.
Close one.
Kind of probably low scoring.
It should be a great game.
Yeah.
Which probably means it'll be a blowout in either direction.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what we thought last year?
That, Jeff, you ever get excited for a game that it's going to be a good one, and then all of a sudden
last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's why I thought exactly about last year's Super Bowl.
Because you have the best offense in the league against the best defense in the league. And when those two things came together, apparently all that meant was Peyton Manning was going to look terrible.
We found out that Peyton Manning was still not clutch.
And the defense won that battle. Yeah. And it's sort of, obviously.
Resoundingly.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, although both great quarterbacks, future Hall of Famers, one has a track record of being, pretty clutch guy in the NFL history.
Yeah.
And the other one is the opposite. So, for me, I'm actually going to go with the Patriots here, kind of in a similar situation, but I'm going to take them in the close one, and because I can't, you can't count out touchdown
Tom. I was so hoping you would make that reference.
You just can't do it, and so
all I'm going to say is to back up my pick. It's been 10 years, man. Maybe it's too late for.
You think it's done?
Tom.
I mean, Bears will take him. The Patriots don't want him anymore.
Wait a second.
We'll get our Patriots expert Peter Bailey Wells in here at some point to see if he can negotiate a trade.
I was gonna say, maybe I'll just say some inflammatory things to get him riled up.
Well, we're gonna take a break, but when we return, seriously, you're gonna want to hear this. I'm not gonna reveal it right now, but in just a couple minutes, you're gonna hear probably one of the best things you'll hear all year. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Champaign Mayor Don Gerard, and I'm concerned about 4 things, and that would be police, fire, public works, and Illini Sports. That's why I tune into Illini Drive at 6 p.m. on Mondays on WPGU 107.1 FM.
Welcome back to Illini Drive. I'm Sam Sherman. I like that Don Gerard drop that he did for us because John Gerard, Champaign Mayor, friend of the show.
You just like saying friend of the show.
I love saying friend of the show. It's one of my favorite things to say. That, and we're fans of nobody here at Illini Drive.
I was just about to say it.
Don Gerard says that, and he says, he's got his 4 concerns. I think right now, maybe the biggest one is Illinois athletics, Illinois sports.
There's a lot to be concerned about.
Yeah. I mean, in general, there's always a lot of things to be concerned about.
I think that's just Illini fans. A lot of, I'm not calling anyone out here, but just it seems like bad things happen to
But
Illinois.
I was talking with somebody about this today. We won't get too far into this. We have an amazing thing we're about to do. But I just kind of wonder, it's is it just because we're, in the community here in Champaign, or is this just something that happens if you're in any college town and other than the elites?
Yeah, I guess everyone goes through disappointment. Obviously, one team won the national championship this year, so a lot of the team fell short. But like, seems recently, like there's been a lot of hope for Illinois, especially like basketball recruiting, a lot of stuff like that. And then lately, little Timmy Beckman buzz.
We will get to that. I want to talk about that because that was the latest in the line of just Illinois disappointment. But before we get to that, Torrance Sorrell, our producer, a very talented producer, you put together something.
He's put in some work over here.
Great. Yeah. You're really you're earning the paycheck here on Illini Drive.
What paycheck?
I guess I'm the only one getting one. Right. So Torrance, can you? I don't even want to. I want to take away any thunder away. You just tell the people what you got.
It's hard to explain it, man. I can't say it without laughing. I'm gonna give out my thoughts after putting this together, but
all I know is leave it on its own. Okay,
leave it. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
At number 5,
playing Riley O'Toole football.
Number 4,
the brand new academic center at Ohio State. Did you see that? Phenomenal.
Number 3,
I know it might be a corny word, but love is out there.
Number 2,
I want to tell you this because I'm going to brag a little bit. I got to be a dad. Got to take my son to a college football game and let him go see what it's like to be a student athlete of this great game that we coach and play. And so I got to be a dad.
And by far my favorite quote of the year from Timmy B. Without further ado, number 1.
Kind of a giggle now. It really is. It's kind of a giggle that when people doubt you and then you prove them wrong, for our football players, it was very rewarding for them. Merry Christmas.
That was awesome.
Excellent work, Torrance. We hadn't heard that. That was the first time we heard that.
No, we knew it was coming. Top 5 quotes of the year by our great leader, Tim Beckman. And it lived up to the hype.
That was awesome. No, seriously, Torrance, that's great.
I appreciate it,
man. That's very cool. That's and I think it goes without saying that we really do, we joke a lot about Tim Beckman here, but we really do, I think, appreciate covering him because he gives some great, gives some great quotes, and there's, I think that when there was talk about him possibly, leaving, like getting fired this season, I was a little bit sad about that possibility, because you'd lose a really great quotable guy, and I think that that's something that can really add a lot of, keep the media rooms light after wins or losses, and he was always he is always able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, no one wishes ill on someone like that, but I mean, he's fun to be around. You can tell he's
charismatic.
Yeah,
he's charismatic.
That's the word, Sam. That's the exact word.
Maybe that's not the best word, but it is a word. Jeff, get on that. Can you actually, Jeff? Can you get?
I'll give you the definition.
I want to get the definition.
Do you guys agree with that top 5?
Yeah, I was.
Well, you know what? The one I hadn't heard in a while though was the Ohio State one.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
What do we got?
This is perfect, Sam. Exercising a compelling charm that inspires devotion in others. That's love. That is love. Right
love is out there.
I think thanks, Jeff. I think that's a pretty good def. I mean, because whether or not you agree with the way he coaches X's and O's and stuff like that, Tim Beckman, I believe his players like him and we saw that this past year.
They fight their ass off for him.
They fight for him, and that's something that I think was probably one of the biggest reasons why I still hold out hope that he could be the guy for this team, because they fight for him, and if you can get the talent there, if you got talented guys who are doing everything they can to win games for you as a coach, then I think you can do something. So, but seriously, Torrance, that was excellent.
Was anyone debatable, like, oh man, that should have been number 1, or
I don't know.
The giggle's got to be number 1.
Yeah, I mean,
that without a doubt. So that was correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't.
It was hard.
I can't think of any snubs really.
Well, because we said that, if you were doing because we weren't sure if it was going to be just this year or his entire Illinois career.
That would be top 50.
Top 50, and it would, like you said, it would have taken a while.
Yeah.
Well, so speaking. So again, with kind of going off of that, Tim Beckman had almost a great. Well, so you want to just explain to the people what happens, Steve?
Yeah. So I guess it was kind of late yesterday. Yeah. Football Scoop, footballscoop.com came out that that Illinois is very close to hiring Craig Kowalski. Kulagowski. Kulagowski, yeah. Craig. And
Who is he?
Defensive line coach at Mizzou. For the
Mizzou, we don't want to work with Mizzou.
Well, he's had some pretty great players since he's been there since 2001. Obviously the names come to mind: Michael Sam, SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Alden Smith.
Ely.
Yeah, I mean, he's a ton of guys, and the Football Scoop actually said yesterday that he accepted the position of co-defensive coordinator, which everyone, from both sides of the coin, Mizzou fans were in shock and disbelief, and then Illinois fans thought it was a home run. Then it comes out today. St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporter said, well, no, actually, I've heard that he's staying. Then he did make a statement. There was a press release from Mizzou this afternoon that he's going to stay and stay over in Missouri.
The saddest thing for me is seeing that the possibility of a Craig Kulagowski, Jihad Ward relationship is not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, you take a guy that was given defensive line coach of the year, and you match him up with pure raw talent.
I'd
like
say,
Jihad Ward.
Jihad Ward, he showed a lot of flashes this last season, but I think he's one of the most potentially, dangerous defensive linemen in football. I mean, in college football.
Just
based on raw, physical.
Like he is massive.
You coach a guy up like with the best guy, the best coach for that.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at something scary. So, disappointing news for Illini Nation to hear that he's, he decided to basically. I'm guessing it's probably just a bargaining chip situation.
Yeah.
That's a guess. We don't know.
I mean, yeah, you would think leverage this into a better offer.
They didn't get him, but
still 2 holes to fill on the coach staff after Greg Colby and Tim Salem.
What do you think about this? I think people maybe get caught up with like the words that are used and all this kind of stuff for titles. But what do you think about the co-defensive coordinator thing with Tim Banks, a coach that a lot of people thought maybe also wouldn't return at the very least. Maybe he wouldn't. If Beckman comes back, I think people thought that Banks would probably see the door for somebody else because that was a huge problem last season.
Well, I don't know how I feel about co-defensive coordinators because that gets a little ambiguous just for players. The hierarchy of things.
Like if they had hired this guy, for example, Banks has been there longer. But
all the players know Banks. A lot of them now have been recruited by Banks, because they're so young.
But if one of them looks up, sees this guy's credentials, Kulagowski, you think, well, this guy's, who do I really want to listen to?
Yeah.
But I don't.
Just make sure if you're going to do that, your guys have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple years ago when they had co-offensive coordinators, Billy Gonzalez and Chris Beatty. They were not on the same page. Their offense was anemic, and it did not work. So if you're going to do something like that, and if you have bottom line, you have a chance to get a guy like this with his credentials and his background, you absolutely go do it.
Yeah.
Like you're still loyal to your guy Banks, but you have a chance to bring in an excellent coach that helps you win games. You go do it.
Well, once again, Mizzou brings just disappointment to the Illini.
It's okay. Just flip on that Revante Rice buzzer beater.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the most telling thing about how good of a coach this guy was is you could just look to Twitter and what some of the fans were saying about they were not happy about this possibility of this guy leaving because they've seen
Coach Cool.
Yeah, Coach Cool. And what is his Twitter handle? Because I think it's one of the better ones I've heard.
It's Let's Meet at the QB.
Yeah, this is the coach's Twitter handle. A defensive line coach, best in the nation.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and he seemed like you were kind of going through his Twitter page, and he seems like a fun guy.
Yeah, he won a 3-on-3 tournament within the program with 2 football players. This guy, he's
got a personality.
Yeah, which is good. Would have been, I think a great hire for Illinois, but got to keep searching now.
This would usually be the time. We have a few more minutes here on Illini Drive. This would usually be a time for a badass of the week. I wanted to do something else, if that's okay. Something that
you're running the show today.
Yeah. I wanted to try something else because this was something I tried to do last week, and it was not good because I just kind of rushed it. And I think this is something that people, of course, I'm saving for the last segment. So I might have to
all of our listeners already turned it off.
Yeah.
We'll do it anyway.
because they got the amazing compliment. Once again, thank you, Torrance, for that. It was awesome of the Beckman quotes. But I want to get to this. This was basically just kind of going up because Illinois basketball is, I think, at the forefront of every Illinois fan's minds at this point, right now, even with this flash of potential exciting football news, but that isn't happening. So I wanted to talk about tournament, no tournament, but we're going to break this down game by game. And again, we tried to do this last week. It wasn't great because I rushed through it and we didn't have a lot of time. But we're gonna do this here. You up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Because remember, also last time I was making all the game predictions. I'd be like, all right, this is a win. This is a loss.
You kind of.
We had no say so.
That train that was going off the rails a little bit. But right now, here's the situation.
Yes.
Illinois is 13-8, 3-5 in conference, which is towards the bottom part of the Big Ten Conference.
Not out, but towards. I mean, not there's still a chance.
Right. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying.
Big
Ten standings. So they have a week off here. Their next game is against Penn State. Well, did you have an overall record that you wanted to say now, or do you want to go through game by game?
I wanted to go through. Yeah.
All right. So next game is Penn State at home. That's on Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday.
Jeff's throwing up the W.
That's
a
W.
That's a W.
The return, the DJ Newbill versus Kendrick Nunn,
round two.
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm gonna leave it up. So, what do you think, Steve?
That's a win. DJ Newbill might drop 40. It's still a win.
Jeff Torrance?
DJ Newbill dropped 40. That's a win. I mean, that's a win for Penn State. He dropped 40.
He's the only guy on that team.
Yeah,
I think Illinois is going to win now.
Yeah,
I like the win.
So we're gonna mark that one a win here. Next game is Rutgers in Champaign. Win.
W.
I mean, now Rutgers did beat Wisconsin, but I'm going to throw that out because
they were without Kaminsky and Trey Jackson.
Yeah, so we're going to do that one a win as well. At Michigan State.
That's an L.
It's going to be a tough game, but I think that's a game that the Illini definitely can steal.
Ooh. All right. What about you? We'll do a little vote thing. I'm going to say it's a loss. We could tie it, though. Torrance, what do you think?
That's an L.
Okay, that's a push. I think, can we say, just for the purpose of this, like more real, because like they're not going to be favored. So we'll call that one a loss.
It's just hard to. Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Sam pulls the executive power. And just
I'm holding the pen. I'm holding the pen.
3-1.
Michigan in Champaign.
W.
I like the win.
No Karis LeVert.
No Karis LeVert.
Sold out game as well.
Yeah, they announced that today. Yeah.
Maybe
Sellout.
Rayvonte Rice.
We're getting in range. Yeah.
Either way, I still think that they got a good shot.
Aaron Cosby should be back for that game.
Thank goodness. All right, so that's a win. Wisconsin away, it's kind of like the Rutgers situation. Wisconsin lost to Rutgers.
But no one wins in.
No, and I think that's going to be a blowout. But that doesn't make a difference.
No vote taken, just a loss.
Michigan State at home.
Ooh.
See, now
this would be coming off of a blowout at Michigan. At Wisconsin.
It's the Wisconsin game got them refocused, got their egos checked a little bit, and I think they beat Michigan State at home.
Illinois is either winning both games against Michigan State or they're winning one.
I'm happy you didn't say losing because I'm like, come on, we can't work.
They're not. They're going 1-1 or 2-0. So
yeah,
give or take your winner.
Okay. Jeff's not sold on the Spartans. Interesting.
Torrance.
Don't kill our vibe.
What do you think?
They're gonna win.
Oh, that's fine. Wait,
was that a question?
No,
that's a win.
That's
a win. Yeah, a win.
Can't get blown out twice by the Spartans.
I think if you're gonna be a tournament team,
that's
a win.
You gotta protect home court.
Absolutely.
That's what it goes back to. If you're gonna be a tournament team, then you got to get some of these wins
and win at least half of the road games.
Away at Iowa. That's tough place to play.
I don't think so.
You don't think you like their chances?
I think it's a loss.
Oh,
I don't see.
You weren't disagreeing with the fact that I was a tough. Okay, that's a loss for you.
Blatantly
a must-win game that I think may be a loss too for the Illini.
Okay, Torrance.
I agree.
I'll chalk that one up as. See, I didn't take executive decision there. I just listened to you guys. Next up, Northwestern at home.
It's actually TUS, Team Upstate.
Sorry, we don't say Northwestern. Team Upstate in Champaign.
That's a win.
Can we agree on that one? Okay. Yep. Nebraska in Champaign. We lost to them we lost them at home. Excuse me, in Nebraska, in Lincoln. And now they're returning to take them on at the State Farm Center.
That's tough.
I like a win on that.
I
game.
think that should be a win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sold on
There's no
Nebraska
way
ball.
they play as bad of a game as they played
That was an
the
ugly
first
game.
time against Nebraska.
That was an ugly
and
game.
Rayvante, all things, if they all work right, he should be back. So, Torrance. All right. Finishing up quickly here, Stevie, your Purdue Boilermakers, led by Matt Painter, at Mackey.
Problems. I don't know. I'm going to
Okay.
abstain from this one.
Win.
Torrance. It's tough. Because DJ Bird doesn't play on Purdue anymore.
No, yeah, just making sure.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna win it.
Okay. I do think they're going to win it too. Again, it goes back to
Considering if everyone's healthy.
You need to win that game.
Yeah.
You can't lose that. And
Purdue's not a tournament team.
Not right now, no. So we're going to call that a win. So now,
what does that put
someone
the
add this
total
up.
at?
We got 13.
Sam, I know you're a math major.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not a math major. Want to get that very clear. Okay, so that's one win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be leaving them with a record of 20 and 1, 2, 3 losses. 20 and 11.
I think if that goes down like that, you need one win in the Big Ten tournament. You're in.
That's
21 and 12.
So I think then to close it out, because we are just about out of time. I think that gives some hope to Illinois fans out there. It's
doable.
Yeah, because they can do it. Now you didn't. They had games this year that had they won, we wouldn't have to be talking about some of these games. Some of them could be losses, and they could still kind of. But if you want to get in there, if you want to be with the 68 best teams in the country, then you gotta win some of these games that are going to be kind of more of toss-ups. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Illini Drive. That's all the time we have. I'm Sam Sherman, joined alongside Stephen Bourbon. Stephen Bourbon. I don't ever do because we never really.
Does it matter?
For the on-air name.
Oh, I don't know.
Stephen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Steve Bourbon.
Just go with the feel. Play by the feel.
Join alongside Steve Bourbon, Torrance Sorrell, who put that together. Well, you'll post that online,
that
right?
Out, yeah.
Like now, because Torrance put together. If you were listening today, an outstanding compilation of Tim Beckman quotes and
his greatest hits of 2014.
Who
That's
will
what I
be
was gonna name.
the person who will be posting that on social media at Illini Drive will be our social media guru Jeff Homer over there in the corner. Who thank you for contributing today on the mics.
It's going to be a fun semester with you boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's already been a good one before this one. So only more to come.
We're getting.
That's enough. That's enough.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, once again, thanks for listening to Illini Drive. We will be back next week about the big game against the Patriots and the Seahawks, and we'll have a winner then.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll see.